Okay guys, we'll quick housekeeping. Anyone recording on a mobile phone connectors on flight mode please. First portion is live content ready to be online. Second portion is the embargoed written word, and there will be breakouts then. TV or in the Morrison room, which is 2 rooms behind us. Yeah, it's not right. And the usual breakout then for live for them, yeah. And embargoed written word guys stay here. So we get underway with head coach Schmidt and the team for the weekend.
The team to play against Italy on Saturday is Jack McGrath, Rory Best, hooker and captain, Tyke Furlong, Ian Henderson, Dev Toner, Peter O'Mahony, Dan Levy and Jack Conan at number 8. At 9, Conor Murray, Jonathan Sexton at 10, Jacob Stockdale, Bundy Arkey and Robbie Henshaw in the midfield. Keith Earls and Rob Carney, and on the bench is Sean Cronin, Ken Healy, Andrew Porter, Quinn Rue, and CJ Stander, Kieran Marmion at in the backs, and Joey Carberry and Jordan Lama.
Joe, in relation to the changes, the starting changes, what is the thinking there?
Some of it is mileage. I think CJ Stander had 42 clean-outs and 23 carries in the game in Paris, which, while not attritional for CJ, he's in great shape. It's really probably rewarding some performances by Jack Conan in recent times as well, and it's also that opportunity to try to keep a freshness. These Six Nations games, they do become, if nothing else, mentally attritional. By the time we got back from Paris on Sunday evening, you had some fairly sore, tired bodies, and it's just an opportunity to freshen the side up a little bit.
What's impressed you most about Jack?
I think Jack, what's visible with Jack is his ability to accelerate and carry the ball, but I think on the other side of the ball he's been really impressive. He's been bringing a really physical side to his defence. Obviously his ability to transfer the ball through the contact, before the contact, is another impressive thing. His line-out work has been continually improving as well. So I suppose his whole gambit of things that he can bring to the party, and for those who remember the tour in the summer, I think Jack was a really impressive performer for us. He did well in the autumn internationals in the windows that he got, and so this is another opportunity for him.
Very disappointing news, obviously, for Josh, season-ending injury. But Dan came in and did extremely well. Are you happy with the balance of your back row and Dan in particular?
Yeah, I think Dan, visibly, he got straight into the game. He carried strongly. He got off the line and defended strongly. He took a super kick-off. It was a little bit short of the 10 metres, but when those sorts of things happen, you just want players to be decisive and just grab the game by the scruff of the neck, and we think Dan did that. We felt that Josh had done really well prior to that. So it was really disappointing for Josh, just toward the end of that first half to suffer the injury that he did. The balance part of the question, I think with Peter O'Mahony, his leadership experience there, I think with the 2 younger lads, they'll bring their enthusiasm, athleticism and real hunger. We hope that it is pretty well balanced. We've seen some pretty impressive performances from some of their back row. Negre was really impressive, I thought, last week as a newcomer, and then that's balanced up by the experience they have with the legend that is Sergio Parise.
And reflecting on Paris, if we can, just briefly, what was your kind of take on it when you had a good opportunity to sit down and go through the video?
Yeah, you're just delighted that you got out of there with the points, and it wouldn't be too many years ago that any win in Paris was acceptable. Now it's examined a little bit more thoroughly and more closely, and it's no different from what we do as well. We felt that we stayed in control of that match for a long time, and to let Teddy Thomas despite knowing how lethal a finisher he can be, to let him slip up the touchline and slip away through us was incredibly frustrating and disappointing. And I think in a test match of that magnitude, it only takes one lapse for a team to get back into the game or get in front in a game, and we want to make sure that those lapses aren't repeated. We want to stay in control of games, and it's hard work to stay in control of a team when you're playing in Paris. They had so much to play for. Reading a lot of the French media leading up to that game and reading it post that game, they were talking about a new beginning. They were talking about putting a stamp on things and a real collective that they felt they were building. So, we knew we weren't going to get anything lightly. Yes, there are things we need to be better at, and I think some of our platforms didn't quite provide what we were looking for. You look at the first one, 43 seconds in, we get a dream platform and we're away and playing. I think 5 minutes 56 into the game, Johnny's putting the ball into the corner. We're 3-0 up. It's exactly what we're looking to do in Paris. And those building blocks, I felt, allowed us to control a lot of the game. But you've got to be better than that. You don't just want control, you want to be able to dominate, and you dominate by building scoreboard pressure. And there's a few things we'd look back at and feel that we didn't quite nail opportunities that we should have. Having said that, opportunities you had to work very, very hard for them. You work solidly for 5 minutes and you still only get a 3-point shot at them. But that was enough, thankfully, at the end.
On that, were you actually quite concerned about how blunted the attack seemed to be for that evening?
No, I was quite excited by how we broke them right in the first minute when they'd be at their most motivated. How we could turn them around inside those early parts of the game. We were frustrated by some of how the attack was blunted, and I think we have to work harder at making that ball quick, and we'll hopefully get a bit more of a hand, because there was a lot of traffic in the breakdowns that should have been cleaned up. So you've got to be good enough to do that yourself. And then hopefully we can give that platform to Conor, and guys can play on the back of that. But to force them in on their home turf to make 245 tackles is not a bad effort when you want to try to stay in control of a game.
Will Josh need surgery on his injury? Look,
that's information that we won't be forthcoming with it at the present, because at this stage there is no surgery, and we're going to just probably park Josh at the moment, let him get comfortable with the injury as it is, and then the people who have a good idea about what should be done next will make those decisions.
John, what do you expect from Jordan and Moore if he gets a chance to come on?
I expect Jordan to provide what he's been providing, that we've all seen in provincial matches, that electric acceleration, that change of direction, but also that surety under the high ball, that skill. There's a couple of really nice passes that he's linked in with to set players away. So, we'd love to see all that. And away from the ball, he's got a super work rate, Jordan. So, we know that if we are coming under pressure, he'll be working really hard to help relieve that pressure.
Is it the ideal situation to have him on the bench with the experience of Rob starting and not having to pitch him in too soon?
Yeah, it's always a mix. There's never a perfect situation, but there are certainly better situations, and if he replaces Keith or Jacob on the edges, then having Rob at the back will be an asset. If he replaces Rob, then having Keith, particularly with his experience on the edge, I think that will be an asset for him as well. So that's part of what you do when you're trying to place a player, but you don't place a player and expect him to be looked after. He has an expectation himself, Jordan, that he's going to look after what he needs to do, and hopefully bring those exciting elements that I mentioned to the game.
We'll take the last couple.
Joe, was it tempting to maybe start Joey Carberry at 10? And if so, what was the difference? Why was the call made to go with Johnny Sexton?
I think again, it's combinations. One of the great things about the Six Nations at the moment, and I hope in the future, is that it's played over 7 weeks. So if Johnny didn't start this week and didn't play next weekend, which he's unlikely to do, then he'd have 2 weekends where he hadn't played. Is that the best preparation for our next game as well? That's the thing that you're always balancing. For Joey, he may well come off the bench this week, and he potentially could play for Leinster next week, all things being equal, and he would still get that exposure at potentially 10. But even getting some rugby would be fantastic for Joey. Because he had that period out, he's only really just back playing, and so we also want to be able to manage his entry back into the team.
Regards the breakdown last week, maybe the ball was a bit slow coming out. I know that listening to some of the reaction punditry during the week, there was some comment on the refereeing that maybe it could have been a bit clearer. Would you like it to be a bit clearer this week, or do you think you have to take the responsibility on yourselves?
You can't control what the referee is going to decide, and we had one of the best referees in the world. It's still a difficult place to go and clean big men off the ball. So, I don't think the Italians are going to try to make anything easy for us as well. Roman is as a rule, he likes to see people move quickly, and so that will potentially help both sides. That will make it more difficult for us to defend, and it will potentially add a little bit of opportunity attack-wise.
Conor, the feeling among the players coming out of Paris, the victory in the manner you did, is there a real sense that could be a seminal moment in this season for you guys?
Yeah, hopefully. You'd hope that. I think we, as a squad, and we've mentioned before, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to win games, perform, and as Joe touched on, we felt in control of that game for a long period of time, and that slip up for Teddy Thomas try, unbelievable finish, but we looked at that defensively and we were quite disappointed. And then to kind of regather ourselves under the post, next job focus, and then go and build the phases, 41 phases for that drop goal, I think will only strengthen us in the future. And I think the mood in camp is completely different than what I thought it would have been if we didn't get that drop goal. And thankfully we got there, we got the result, and it's a step forward in the right direction for us.
Okay, guys.
Good news. Sorry, just about Jared Payne. Jared Payne with Ulster doing a bit of coaching for him. Is that good news for you? Happy enough to hear about that?
Yeah. Again, Jared might not be finished playing the game yet, so I've had discussions with Jared. They're ongoing, and we'll continue to have those discussions. And he's in great shape. So I wouldn't rule them out, but he's got a real understanding of the game. So to have him involved in coaching and to have that experience that he brought to our team, I think you only have to ask the players to know how comfortable he made other players feel, because he understood the game, and that's got to be good.
Okay, guys, we'll switch this then.